us pay, especially early on with their shot making when we didn't execute our game plan. And then they committed to the ball and our ball screens, and our inability to get it out of that quicker hurt us offensively. So I think the disappointing thing is the execution component. We didn't see anything we weren't anticipating really on either side of the ball. We got to get better at those things quickly. Listen, they may be the best team in the country right now. Certainly playing as one of the very best in the country. They have a lot of experience, and they made us pay when we made a mistake early on. We fought back, and then it became a story on the glass. I felt like they just, their bigs are so good at chasing their own misses, and we didn't execute that part of the game plan as well either. When we were fighting back, up the glass made the difference where we couldn't get back when we needed to.
You guys had a stretch in the first half. They didn't score for 640. I think you had like a 6-0 run in that stretch, but then they got going because they had 3 straight possessions, offensive boards. They kept possessions alive. Is that kind of what you're talking about there, with just like being a little bit undersized and trying to battle with these guys, and that's where they're able to really pull away?
Yeah, I think in that moment we needed, in that stretch, we needed to be on more than a 6-0 run. We needed to do a better job on the offensive end. When we were moving, we were really hard to guard there in stretches. So that's something we got to embrace more when we're out there. And then we have to rebound better. We knew that was a huge point of emphasis going into this game. So some of it was them making great plays, some of it was us, not executing, coverages on that. So I think their size bothered us a little bit, certainly, but there were also some things that we could have controlled that could have, I think, made a difference on the glass.
What are some of those things when you're playing undersized?
Well, I think we talked about in practice, against them, they're so good at shooting and then chasing the ball. And there were, like, I'd have to go back and look at the film, but I felt like a lot of their misses, their forwards missed. A lot of their offensive rebounds came off their own shot.
Yeah.
So it's disappointing because it was something we practiced against and knew how good they were at it. And then our guards got to get in the mix. They got to help us, a little bit more. We're getting better at that. We did better at that last game. We're getting a little bit better there, but it's not good enough yet.
A game like this isn't just on one player. Bruce didn't score until about 5 minutes to go. I think he only had 2 or 3 shots in the first half. Were you drawing things up for him to get him going that weren't getting executed? Was he not being aggressive to the level stuff we've talked about the last 2 weeks, or what was the challenge for him? He's so much of what you guys do, kind of.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and really look at it. We tried to move him around more throughout the course of the game. That's something that we as a team need to get better at. He's got to get a little more comfortable in that, and we got to get better at that as a unit. So I want to, before I just dive too deep into that, I want to go back and really watch it. But I think in general, we got to be able to get him catches in different spots on the floor. Can't always be up top in the middle third, with the ball. So we've been working on that. I think we'll get better at that quickly. But just in general, when they committed to us in ball screens, we over dribbled, and we talked about getting it out of there quicker, hitting the short roll. We didn't execute the short roll well enough consistently, and I think that's the thing. We have to find a way when the adversity of the game is happening on the road. We can't abandon the things we work on. We got to find a way to execute better in those moments. We got to rely on our execution to help us in those moments, because you play against good teams. They're going to make some tough shots. They're going to
Sure.
So I think that's the part. As we look at certainly adjusting some things, but in the flow of the game, that's the part we got to fix right away.
Did this in any way feel like Maryland?
I felt like we fought much better in the first half. I felt like we had a great fight. Again, give them credit. They felt like every time we maybe made a mistake or we were a step slow, with our awareness defensively, I felt like they made us pay.
Yeah.
And then the rebounding. rebound better in the first half. I think the entire complexion of the game is different.
Yeah.
Because we made that fight back. We had that stretch where we held them scoreless, which, they're a really, really tough team to do that against. But, I think, I thought we fought a lot harder in the first half. We played tougher. There were a couple moments in the second half that was disappointing that, we addressed with some substitutions. But outside of that, no, I thought our fight was good in the first half. Our execution was poor.
When Coach Burrow was in here, he was talking about you guys missing Aaron and how big that sort of impacts things. How close was he to being available, and what does it look like for him as you now move ahead to Tuesday?
Yeah, right now we just got to keep evaluating kind of how he is physically, for his return. I mean, that's the biggest thing right now is making sure he's ready and can get some practices in and things like that. So I wish I had certainly help us if we knew exactly when that could be. We're trying to do it as quickly as we can, but it's kind of a day by day evaluation right now.
And you said how like in the second half there's some effort things that you had some substitutions that you were kind of sending messages.
Really just if I remember, just maybe 2 plays.
Okay.
Yeah, just 2 plays, like us not diving on the floor. It's not acceptable in our program. And our guys knew that. I think they responded well in that moment. So, there was maybe 1 or 2 plays where I was just disappointed with our effort.
And how hard is this? Maybe a tough question, but for you to stomach a loss like this after the Maryland loss? I mean, Ohio State matters to you, like all the competitiveness that makes you who you are. Like standing here right now after having just gone through that, like what is it like processing this?
I think it's certainly painful, disappointed that we didn't go out and reflect what we're capable of against a really good team. And I think it's the focus is okay. What's the issue? How do we fix it? Like that's immediately where your mind goes. Certainly thinking through those things in game, but like we're going to coach hard all the way to the end. We're going to play hard all the way to the end. Those things are staples for us, and we need to control what we can control to make sure this doesn't happen again. Yeah, so we're diving into that.
I kind of thought this kind of game where if you
I got 2 quick ones. Yeah, third matchup versus an SEC team. What can you say about the brand of basketball that's happening right now in the SEC?
Yeah, I have some experience being in the league. It's a really tough league. It's a well-coached league. Got a great deal of respect, for the league.
Yeah, and last one here, Janai Broome, 20-20 tonight. Just kind of what can you say about the kind of player that he's been so far this year, and like trying to scout him and then versus trying to actually stop him in the game?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we felt like on film he was one of the very best, if not the best player in college basketball so far this season. Certainly lived up to that in person. He's talented. He plays with great poise. I think it's really hard to speed him up. He's a good passer. His rebounding and unfortunately we didn't force him into different moves enough. Like he kept getting to his spot, left hand, but he deserves a ton of credit. It wasn't for lack of effort, certainly. He's a really good player, and they play really well off of him. I think they got some really good complementary pieces.
Cool.